Welcome to Drinks Coach. It's Series 3, Episode 3. Thanks for coming back and watching. I hope it's not too glamorous, the surroundings. As I've mentioned in the first two episodes this winter, looking to thank the people that supported us over the summer, over the food and festivals. And today falls on old mate, I knew him better back in the day, actually, but vermouth guru, Mark Ward. Round of applause to Mark Ward, who invented this stuff. You may have seen this on the shelf of virtually every premium retailer of drink. And now, even it's available in Majestic and Waitrose. It's sold all over the world. It's a huge success in Australia where it's made. And Mark Ward is indeed an Aussie. And in 2011, after making a gazillion Negronis and martinis and things, I suppose asked a lot of questions that people have been asking for a long, long time. And that is, if you've got to drink vermouth in it, what exactly is vermouth? And vermouth is an aromatized wine. Okay, it's a wine that's been, it's a drink made from wine. Maybe they've added a spiritual tincture which has got flavors in it, or they've had just steeped herbs in the wine itself. There's many ways to actually get the flavor in. And there are very large varying degrees of quality from really diabolically poor to gorgeous. And the one question nobody asks, even if you talk about the great producers like Cocchi, de Torino, Martini itself, and of course there's Neupra in France. I think they're a bit more open book about things, surprisingly for the French, no. The question is, it's about 80% wine, and people don't ask the question, yeah, but what wine is it? What wine's in your vermouth? Because most people go, it's the cheapest wine we could find in the XYZ. and the wine is subsumed by the brand and the egos of the brand and what they're trying to do. And I think that it's fair to say that Mark's the first person to produce a brand where he openly bought the wine from one estate. The estate, in fact, he now owns. I think he does. He owns or has a part share in a vineyard in New South Wales, and each of his different vermouths, because so much of the percentage of the drink is in fact a premium wine, he wanted to be absolutely certain that you could see that the wine was being made as well as possible. I'm not sure that's not the case for sort of like run of the mill. If you buy a supermarket bottle of vermouth, I would love to see the winemaking processes that happen there before you see it in the bottle. But here, it comes from a premium, I think it's an orange, which is a very cool climate area, a very premium winery producing premium Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz. And indeed, it's those varieties that work their way into the Regal Rogue range of vermouths. Try to say that when you're hungover. I'm not hungover, so that's why I could say it. Okay, so yeah, Regal Rogue, that's what it's all about today. And what I thought I'd do is do a quick spin through some of the drinks I've been pouring for enthusiastic vermouth lovers of the up and down the country. I think we'll just start off saying that there are actually four in the range. And the one I don't have here is the Lively White, which is the most aromatic. It's based on Sauvignon Blanc, as you'd imagine, and orange makes very good, damn good Sauvignon. And the wine has a lovely, dry, zingy lift and would be the super dry. This wine is, this wine, I should say, this vermouth is Lively White. Lively White is a little bit more umami based. It's more, I think it's based on Chardonnay, if I remember. And it's a wine that a vermouth that has a similar sort of like profile, if you like, or at least drinks target as things like Martini Extra Dry or Neupra, if you make things like martinis and so forth. Then we've gone to one which is called here the Regal or the Wild Rose or Wild Rosé. Is it Wild Rosé? It's got a tick everything. I was calling it Wild Rose all summer. It is Wild Rosé, in fact, which is also made from Shiraz, I believe. Or is it Cabernet? Yeah. You see, I do so much research of these things. But the point is, they're all different. They all have their own definitions. And he's been very careful, a very clever Mark. In many, many decades of research he built up to this. He started this 2011, so now it's 2000. It's now 12 years old, which is wonderful. It's very rare that a lone wolf takes on such a giant industry and succeeds, and he certainly has done that. He now is living most of the time hanging out in Brighton, but he seems to be going to a lot of birthday parties in like Patagonia, and he's got a house in New South Wales, and he's got a house in the States as well. But he's still very passionate about what he does, very passionate about talking about it and demonstrating it. My favourite, which is the one we haven't talked about yet, is the bold red, which is kind of like the Torino styled red, dark vermouth style in the range, in the lineup. There are a few things that are important about this. Is his credentials in terms of eco-sustainability are very, very strong. Secondly, he's in Australia, so he's using Australian botanicals in some cases, and things that might taste sensibly European style. And you go, oh, I wonder what that is. Things like bog myrtle, and you think it's actually lemon rind or lime rind, but it's actually something from Australia. So he's using these things and getting people to be aware of some very exciting aromas and flavors. Also, he's reduced the sugar enormously, reduced the amount of glass used in his bottles enormously. And in fact, if you buy it in restaurants for the trade in Australia, you can buy it in 5 litre plastic bagging boxes for £100, £100 or something, which removes glass altogether, which I think is fantastic and very much trailblazing in that regard. So let's start off with the first thing I'm going to make, which is made with the lively white. And the lively white, I think on its own, I mean, all I have to do, I think it's about 16 odd pounds. I think if you buy one of these, Majestic or a Waitrose or something. I've just got some ice in this glass. It's a normal wine glass. And I'm going to pour it in here. I would normally at the show start people off on this as a neat serve to show people that drinking vermouth neat is a thing. And you only have to go to vermouth bars in Spain to know how much people love doing that. But a splash of tonic or soda and it goes a long way. And smell that. It smells absolutely delicious. It smells. You've got the sort of like the lazy description, vermouthy aromas. That's like wormwoodiness to it. But here we've got lemon myrtle, we've got a desert lime, which doesn't look like a real lime, but certainly there's some strong aromas of citrus here. And there's a very dry thyme note to it. Wonderful dry thyme, the kind of thing you want stuck all over your roast lamb the weekend. The thyme really, really sings through. Pardon me. Okay. So now, most of the meat is very, very sweet. Hundreds of grams per litre. Here, in some cases, he's reduced the sweetness by 60, 70% over the style typically, and replaced it with just ripeness of fruit, which is a win-win for everyone concerned. I know that Aperol, very popular drink here and very popular drink in Australia too, has like 160 grams of sugar per litre. Sweeter than Sauterne dessert wine. It's very, very sweet indeed. But when we think about these things, we don't think about the giant sugar contents. We're just having a cheeky cocktail on a Friday evening before lying about what time the train we took home was. Anyway, so I could sit here with the ice and just happily chew on that most of the evening. But what I'm going to do is top that up to about a 70 ml serve. Oh, I'm now going to get an Australian lemon. Yes, it just happened to be Australian, yes, but I mean, it's quite cool that it's Australian, right? Just going to just twist the rind over the drink, and then add tonic to it. This is just such a lovely summer drink, and you get enormous levels of complexity. You get kind of like pre-batch premium cocktail complexity. A lot of flavour for far less alcohol. If I put gin in there, it'd be a much stronger drink. Also, the lemon coming through. Oh, it's so delicious, so lovely. It's got a creaminess. The Chardonnay gives this it's kind of dry but very definitely saline umami quality. Makes you reach for the sort of peanuts or whatever's on the table. It's a wonderful kind of apero pre-dinner. Very, very good aperitivo. Nothing wrong with that. There you go. So there we go. That's first drink of the day, and that's with the lively whites. The next drink is probably it's a remake, I suppose, of Britain's most popular drink right now. Everyone's drinking spritzes, aren't they? I think I've done shows about spritzes in the past. Please look back. I must have done one in the last 200 odd shows. What's interesting is that Aperol as a drink, which was kind of brought out, came out after Campari, but is made by Campari. So Aperol and Campari are not in competition with each other, but in fact the same business. It came out, it was a little sweeter and far less bitter. It almost felt like Aperol was something that teenagers, certainly in the 80s and 90s, when they just start drinking their first Ombre or their first Chinar Spritz. That's another vermouth which is made from artichokes. Um, it was almost like you wean people on this. This is like Campari with stabilizers. And then you give them the full knuckle sandwich of bitterness with Campari once they got used to it. And it's lower in sugar, higher in bitterness units. And it's kind of like that. But the color, the lightness, uh, the fact that Aperol Spritzes took Australia by storm so well. And you've got to say that Mark Wood has something to do with giantly increasing the vermouth and spritz culture in Australia. Yeah, in Australia they're drinking considerably more Aperol than Campari. In most markets, Campari outsells Aperol because it's been around for much longer as a sort of popular drink. But I think in Australia it's like 5 Aperols to 1 Campari because it's in everything. So I'm just going to make a nice simple spritz here. I'm just going to use a little jigger. I'm going to put in 15 mils of Aperol. There we go. Then I'm going to use 50 mils of Regal Rogue Rosé. Flying everywhere at the moment. Okay. Okay. This cold is not going away in a hurry. Goodness me. Okay, and then we're going to top it up with. Oh, actually, God, I just put the garnish in first. Did my wife bring me any orange? I think maybe it escaped. Never mind. Should we just use a bit of lemon instead? Well, yeah, why not? There we go. Put that in there. We're going to use this, by the way. If you're going to buy cheap prosecco, and there's a lot of it about, as you know, Tesco's Finest. There are 2 different Tesco's Finests. Go for the Tesco's Finest DOCG. It says Valdobbiadene Prosecco on the front. Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG. This is a remarkably good Prosecco for under £10. It's not bone dry, but it's a bit drier than some of the other offerings out there, which is good because when you're trying to balance the drink, it doesn't help they've whacked loads of sugar in the fizz as well. But one thing's for sure, the cheaper the Prosecco you've got, probably the more knackered, less fresh it is, and also the sweeter it is, which ruins everything. It ruins the poise of the drink. Sorry, I'm making a total mess here. There we go. I'm just going to top this up. So, how much did we put in there? We put in 75 mils. So, you'd want 100 mils, I would say, to make the perfect spritz. This is a lovely glass because it doesn't have a stem, so I can't break the rest of my in law's house. Let's have a taste of it, shall we? Mm. There's something really comforting about the Regal Rogue Vermouth not having the same super sting of sweetness. I mean, 15 mils of Aperol is enough. That's like putting 5 spoons of sugar in the drink already. Mm. It's a shame it's not warm outside anymore. That would have gone down incredibly well, as it did on many occasions during the summer. So there's the cheeky spritz, Regal Rogue, a Regal Rosé spritz. And let's go for the last drink. This is, I suppose, the drink that really sells gin, vermouth, and bitters in general. And because, again, there's a sensibility that Aperol is a way more popular drink than Campari, this particular recipe includes Aperol, not Campari. And for those people who don't know how to make a Negroni, it's the simplest thing in the world. It just needs a little patience. You need to stir it, don't shake it because it dilutes it too much. You end up with fragments of ice in it. You also need to use just good ingredients. So get a good quality gin, take it out of the fridge. It helps if it's cool to start with. Good quality vermouth, well, that's taken for red. And a good quality bitter. And we're using Aperol, which is one of the most popular on the market. So what we're going to do is add 1 part of each. That's all we have to do. Okay. So let's get a bit of tissue here. Use that. So the great thing about the Negroni, and I think one of the reasons why I made it such a popular home pour, is that the actual numbers don't matter. It's 1 of each. So you could have an egg cupful of vermouth, an egg cupful of gin, egg cupful of bitters, and it's 1-1-1. Um, a shoebox full if you're really thirsty, a teaspoonful if you're a mouse. It doesn't matter as long as it's one of each. The proportions are always going to be correct. We're using Tanqueray here. I love Tanqueray as a test bed for any drink really, because although it's a gin, it's only got 4 botanicals, none of which are a citrus, so it doesn't lead the direction of the drink at all. Most gins have lemon, lime, grapefruit, um, bergamot. I mean, there's a million other things that could go in there. Um, None of those things in Tanqueray, so it works very well, and that's why also I use it in my olive martinis. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So I've now got my stirring glass. I would normally have a stirring glass, but just to show you that anything is fine. This has got some fresh ice inside, and I'm just stirring it in a cocktail shaker. Not shaking it, but stirring it. This will bring down the core temperature really, really quickly and really well, especially because it's nice fresh ice. Um, make sure I don't make too much of a mess. Oh, I want to be invited back. They're lovely people. And we just stir it down, and you can feel it how cold it's getting by putting your fingers on the outside. It is a metal canister, and you can feel it changing temperature very, very quickly. Um, when you stop, I, when it's uncomfortable to hold it, really, because if a drink's too uncomfortable to hold, we're not doing your guts much good either. Um, and it's feeling pretty cold, I have to say. Now, I'm sorry about the orange. I think it may well have just hidden itself amongst all my preparations here. But my temperature, my coldest, I'm just not thinking straight. But just imagine I've got some orange here. If it was a Negroni, I wouldn't be using a wedge. I'll be using a slice. So let's put in a slice here. We're going to use lemon instead, which is some kind of heresy, I think. But there we go. I'm not used to knives either. There we go. Put that in there. I'm just going to use the cocktail strainer. Don't need a Hawthorne strainer for this. And there you are. Well, this is a Regal Rogue Negroni, or a Rogroni, as I know. Absolutely delicious. There you go. So, thanks again, guys, for supporting us this summer. Thanks to all the people that came to our shows and our talks, my Spritz masterclasses, who enjoyed said vermouth enormously. These are drinks you can drink on the ice with soda. Produces a really full flavour drink with, compared to beer and wine, even really low levels of alcohol. You don't have to get smashed on these things. They just give enormous amounts of flavour for relatively little pain on the old kidneys and liver. So I would strongly recommend that you bring a bit of vermouth into your life. And if you're going to use one, use Regal Rogue because they're lower in sugar, they're healthier, they're better for the environment. And Mark's a lovely bloke. There you go. Regal Rogue. See you next time. Ah, there it is.